Life is beautiful like Sea Asia. My entrance was independent, but we major. The challenge that's killing me is to balance humility with my ability to stunt like Lee Major. When I was pissing poor, I had a vision board as my screensaver. I envisioned tours on G4s, mink blazers, hopping out with pink gators, unhinging doors like C4, ringing alarms like tennis saw. P-more. Had the club going up like seesaws. Abroad, we score so much, no need to keep score. Petite broads who eat raw, greet us at customs, teach us the customs and traditions of foreign soil. Royal dignitaries sending emissaries to meet Moors. I know them.
Peace, family. Welcome to another episode Underground Railroad Productions. This your host, Brother Rich, out here doing a little tour in the Bronx around Red Pillars Way, Bronx Zoo. Bronx Zoo, man. What's going on, Red Pill?
Coolest monkey in the jungle, baby. What up?
Coolest monkey in the jungle.
That's right.
Who was that? That was H&M, right?
That's H&M. Facts.
Okay, cool. And we had the product with the blackface that got pulled immediately.
Yeah.
Most recently, we just had Gucci. This was like blatant. I mean, I'm scratching my head like, I see how Gucci blew up off the last 2 years off on the hip hop community. I'm like, why would they do so? It boggles my mind as a businessman.
Gucci gang.
So, before we continue, you got a clothing line, fly as shit, man. I just want to throw that out there to people. What's your website?
kingscounty.bigcartel.com.
Yes. So with that being said, Red, I want to ask you this. Recently there was a situation where Martin Luther King's the holiday was coming up, and everybody said Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And it was like
with
an
the
inside
newscaster.
joke. Is this an inside joke with them? Because they're apologizing, but it's like, you can't be serious. You can't with this blackface shit. They acting so oblivious, just like they was acting oblivious to calling Martin Luther King Martin Luther Coon.
That's
so
right.
just talk to me about this whole ordeal and how you feel about the situation, man.
To say, is this a, did you say there's a mistake? What?
I mean, is this, are they culturally clueless? Are they that culturally clueless, my brother? Are they that oblivious?
They are culturally aware. They are extremely culturally aware just based off of the last 2 years with the designs that they've been kicking out. Okay? They're very familiar with the culture. They've based their whole new collection over the past 2 years. It's been urbanized. So to say that Gucci is oblivious, they went from just focusing on handbags to focusing on urban fashion, right? They have rappers who have made Gucci their moniker, Gucci Man. Gucci as a brand is the de jour line of hip hop. It's the go-to line of hip hop. If you pop out and you wearing Gucci, that means not only have you been signed, but nigga, you making some money. You understand?
Yes,
There's
sir.
no other fashion brand that's alive anymore. There's no Rockaware, no Fubu, no Sean John. Nothing represents hip hop in 2019 like Gucci.
Wow.
Not even Louis, not with Virgil over there, not Dolce & Gabbana. None of these brands. Gucci is the de jour brand of all of hip hop.
I mean, from head to toe, man.
From head to toe, I'm talking about socks to headbands.
Yes.
Shout out to Big Soldier. So
Gucci.
So for them to do what they've done, what is that? That's just a middle finger to you niggas.
Why?
Why?
making
Because
them
we
so
gotta
much
remember two things. One, the brand of Gucci is a high luxury brand, right? Gucci's prices, their stock value, and where they stand in the whole realm of designers, it does not increase because niggas are wearing it. Let's be clear. It don't increase because the Migos are wearing flower shirts from Gucci. Their price, the value that they stand for. The fact that they're a high couture brand, it doesn't increase by having niggas wear it. It actually decreases. It's called depreciation of brand value. So when niggas coming into Gucci with singles, crumpled up singles, and you know what I'm talking about, they got videos on Instagram where dudes walk into Gucci and dump bags of drug money on the counter, or strippers are running in there with stacks of single. That shit doesn't help Gucci and their overall brand, you know, how they're trying to brand themselves. So every now and then, high fashion gives a middle finger to you niggas to let you know. And this is how they talk to other brands. This is how brands speak to other brands to pledge their allegiance to this quote-unquote white fragility, or their white supremacy, like they like to call it, or their quote-unquote loyalty to their base. They ridicule you niggas. They put monkeys on purses. They put, you know what I mean, blackface on turtlenecks or whatever the hell that was, and things that they put monkeys on hoodies. And let's not talk about the designers and, you know, the fact that many of these designers are Roman, Greco-Roman. They pledge allegiance to that mentality. And Greco-Roman and Roman mentality, all of these brands, and I said it before, they're all Roman. Versace, all of these Italian brands, Fire Bun, shouldn't be wearing that shit anyway because of what they did in Eritrea. But all of these Roman brands, Gucci, I don't know if they're French or Italian, but that's all colonizers. Gucci, Louis, Dolce & Gabbana, they all broken wrists, and they're all Greco-Roman. They're not African. They're not pro-African. They ran and grabbed the patterns and the styles and whatnot from Africa, but they don't rep it at all. They only perpetuate and push forth this European concept of what beauty is and what high fashion is and what couture may be. So they don't have no allegiance to you niggas. You know what I'm talking about? They just use you as a muse. But muses are to be passed around. Muses, they don't respect the muse. You know what I'm talking about? And don't come at me with that buying power oxymoron. There's no power in buying. There's no power in spending. There's power in ownership only. How the hell niggas toting $1.4 trillion buying power? Power? You don't got no power if you buying something. What the fuck? How many people got power? Are the fiends on the block, do they got power? They power the whole drug game, but they don't got power. You don't have power. You only got power until they get your dollar. And then can buy, you know, you pay now, or you buy now. Once you buy, get out my store. So these brands have no respect whatsoever to niggas. And that's who they're banging. That's who they're giving their ass to kiss and their middle finger, because you may think that that's gonna hurt their bottom line. I went on the stock market this morning. Gucci stocks are not affected by this. And that sweater is a collector's item. How about that? The sweater that they just recalled, the bag that Prada recalled that had the little monkey on it, collector's items. Go on eBay right now and see how much that shit is selling for. You know what I'm talking about? So it doesn't hurt their brand at all. The only thing that will hurt their brand is if Puff Daddy, Jay-Z and Beyonce, 50 Cent, and all of these other coons, no, my bad, all of these other influencers, let me not say that they're coons, all of these other influencers and all of these other celebrity, hip-hop black celebrities who have single-handedly made both Gucci, Polo and a whole bunch of other brands, the multi-trillion-dollar, billion-dollar companies that they are, the only way that they will feel affected is if these Negroes start burning that shit on camera on their social media. If Cardi burns and cuts up her Gucci bag, if Nicki Minaj tears up her Gucci stockings and all of these stuff and throws the bags out the windows and whatnot. They asked T.I. what he was going to do with all of the Gucci. He said, I don't know. I'm going to wait for the, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to burn that shit, but I'm not going to wear it and I'm not going to buy it. But salute to that brother, because he happens to be one of the only artists or influencers, for that matter.
He stepped up.
To step up. And that in it of itself should show you the mind state in 2019 of where all of these rappers are at. It starts from the top down. It starts from the top down. So none of them came forward with not fake Negro outrage, just basic shit. Just in Black History Month, just basic, you know what I mean? Grabbing your nuts and saying, you know what? Man make the clothes don't make the man. I don't need no Gucci to signify my wealth. I don't need Gucci to let you Negroes know that I made it. I'm gonna burn this shit, I'm throwing it out. Don't ever let me see any of y'all in that store again. Facts. They ain't do that. They missed their mark. So once again, they show that their brand loyalty is with their loyalty is with the brands versus the cause. They don't stand for shit. These are the diet wokes. These are the woke folk and everybody else that is running around. You don't gotta be woke to look at that shit and know this is a no-go. This is where we at, though.
When it comes to fashion, T.I. said, Diddy said, a lot of people, when you look at the hip-hop community, the Black community, people say, you know what, they run that shit. They, you know, they dictate fashion.
That's right.
When you look at the clothing lines that come out, a lot of people would say they're not that good. The Rockawares, the Sean Johns, they're like, they're not couture. They're not up there with the rest of them.
That's right.
What is it about, when you think about Black designers, what is it about Kanye that separated him from the rest of the Black designers, where people wear his shit and they feel luxury? When they wear other Black people's shit like Sean John or Rockaway or whatever, they don't feel like they're wearing something luxurious. What is it about Kanye that shifted that perception with us?
Well, first of all, when they created Sean John, I was modeling at that time. Me and Blue was in one of the first fashion shows for both Rockaway and Sean John in Miami. And it was specifically explained to us that they were creating urban fashion brands. Okay. They were not aiming for couture at that point. You dig what I'm saying? These are different divisions that exist within fashion and whatnot. So their main aim, because of the analysis they did of the market at that time,
Different era.
At that time, we're talking about baggy jeans.
Yes.
We're talking about right after what FUBU did with their numbers
Fat
and
Farm,
whatnot. Yeah, they showed that there's a market. And when these brands were created and whatnot, they were created to compete within that market. Now, fast forward later, Kanye is an interesting, case study, because he came out embracing couture. He was the Louis Vuitton Don, and he was running around with the pink polo and whatnot. So he specifically was inclined to create a couture line because that's what he went to France to study. He utilized his influence, and he also utilized some of his fiat, or his money, his earnings and whatnot, to educate himself and to get fashion designers like Virgil Abloh, or what, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Virgil, who did the Off-White brand and whatnot, who's at Louis right now, Don C, and a few other designers. Those people, Taz from Taz Arnold and whatnot, these people were already well versed in fashion through FIT and all of these other places, and they were already surrounding themselves with couture designers and things of that nature, and they were able to bring their knowledge and bring their skill set to the table. And once they were let into those houses, or once they were let into those fashion houses, them niggas showed out. You feel me? So he has a special eye for fashion that I wouldn't necessarily say a Sean John or a Jay-Z or a Dame Dash had. They didn't show that in the way that they dressed. They didn't display that in their fashion sense and whatnot. Kanye did, though. So he was able to basically win because of the fact that he had that knowledge.
Tell the people, you was just telling me something about blackface. You had some interesting info about the blackface.
Well, I just want to remind the family that this whole situation with Gucci comes on the heels of the controversy with Governor Northam coming out of Virginia, okay, who was a governor. He's the governor of Virginia. He was featured in his yearbook. The medical college, it was a medical college in Virginia in the 80s, okay? In his yearbook, there was a picture of either him or one of his colleagues in blackface next to somebody that was in a Klansman robe, all right? So when you do the history of blackface, it's simply not just the minstrel shows. It's simply not just situations where white men and all of their white inferiority were dressing up in blackface, or Jewish men for that matter, with what was it with the jazz singer, okay? That was the one of the first situations of blackface in Hollywood and whatnot. Al Johnson or whatever. But when you do the research on blackface, when it comes to these Europeans, especially these fraternities, right? The frats, okay? And especially these frats and these quote unquote fraternal orders, they utilize the monies made. Remember, they used to hold blackface theater, vaudevilles and what are known as Nickelodeons and things of that nature, and they politicize blackface, and they utilize the blackface theater to pledge their allegiance to white supremacy or to these white ideals that they were dealing with post-civil rights. And the money that they were making out of these quote-unquote theaters were utilized to do what? To enrich the treasuries of these white organizations. Okay? So they monetize blackface. All right, they monetized. That was an industry for these Europeans, these quote unquote what they call the Solid South, when these southern countries, these southern states and whatnot, and these fraternal orders and the Ku Klux Klan and all of these other offshoots were coming together in the South, and they were utilizing, and they were basically getting on code. That's what blackface was representing. So for Gucci to put out this blackface, maybe they're done with niggas in the urbanization of Gucci and they want to get back to their roots, because the quarters, they got out of the black, they got out of the quote unquote red and whatnot, and they're in the black because niggas have pulled them out of what is called the slump. The same thing that Ralph Lauren reported this week that Negroes have done. They got them out of a slump. They reported in their third quarter, it might have been 81 million. I may be incorrect with the numbers, but compared to a year ago, they were in the quote-unquote red, meaning that they were losing money. But when they brought back the old style that was made popular by who? Not the rappers, not Puff Daddy, and not Dapper Dan. They were made popular by the boosters of the 80s. Translation, the niggas that were stealing the clothes. Who made Gucci popular? Either it was the boosters and the drug dealers. Okay? And what happened later on? Niggas went to start buying the shit. So it's not even the same aesthetics anymore. Nobody was running in the stores bragging about buying polo in the goddamn 90s. You didn't get no points for that. They actually would take that shit from you if they found out your mama bought the goddamn coat from you. Oh, take that off. You lame. Like, what is you doing? We grabbing it. We liberating cotton and running out the front door. Fuck is you saying? You know what I'm saying? And Ralph Lauren went and he basically brought that retro line back out this year. It's called the P-Wing, the Suicides, the Cookies, the Script. All of these designs were rebranded and brought back out, and niggas went, they crashed the stores, they broke a goddamn bank and brought Polo out of bankruptcy. Okay? And you still can't walk around the Polo mansion with your nuts hanging because they'll walk around and treat you like you a thief. So yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a history to these things. And an uneducated consumer is a lame. And that's who they bank off of, the uneducated consumer. They know these niggas don't know their history. And they know that they could get away with it because there's not a lot of case studies that show when these brands come out here and show their racist hand that they suffer on a stock market or their bottom line does not suffer. There's no case study to show that niggas have bankrupted any one of these luxury brands by boycotting them. Facts. Timberland is still popping, Hilfiger popping, Polo's popping, Gucci popping, Prada's popping, Moschino was popping. All of these brands that showed you that they don't care about you and that they're in bed because it's still black designers that they know what's happening. But like I said, because of their affiliation, which is not nation first, it's sexuality first, they don't pledge allegiance to our people. And that's a fact. It's time to talk about that.
If Dapper Dan from Gucci, and a lot of people gave Gucci props from putting Dapper Dan down with them.
Yeah.
Virgil from is that Louis or Prada? That's Louis from Louis.
Louis.
If they both, you said Virgil got the off-white. Now, if both of their brands is couture, do you see our people going to buy their brands like we go to buy Gucci, or is it something psychological where it has to be a white brand?
Off-white, my bad, partnered up with Nike, but prior to that, he was kind of popping, but that's not a couture brand. Not Off-White. He's with Louis Vuitton. He's inside of their house now. So he's gonna push out some couture shit with them. The same way that Kanye West partnered up with Louis and they put out a sneaker and whatnot. But Kanye West, the Boost line with Adidas is not considered couture. You feel me? So black people don't see black designers as couture as of yet. There has not been a. Nah, I think Balmain might be black. The shoes that I used to wear and what.
No, the Christian Louis Vuitton. I think
that's a Negro. That's black.
Yeah, black dude. Yeah.
All right, cool. You know what I'm talking about? You know, but definitely not the majority of the couture and the majority of what they call high culture or high couture are Romans. They're LBGT Greco-Roman lines. They're Romans. They're from Rome. And niggas said Fireborn and Babylon and all of this stuff. You know what I'm talking about? But the Jamaicans say that in the dance hall, but all them niggas is wearing, they burn the Batiman and all of this stuff that Buju, boom, bye, but all of the brands are Roman. All of them are Batiman line. And like I told you before, being in fashion, you have to understand the aesthetics of fashion, that the way that they cut their clothes, the fact that they cut the European design of the pants, they cut the crotch very high. So if you have a phallus, any kind of phallic, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They don't cut it for black men. Let's just, let's be PG. They don't cut pants like True Religions and all of these other couture pants that they were making, like 7 jeans. They were not cut for people with packages. Let's just keep it like that. They were cut European and Asian style, which means that it was high up. That's why men had to pull. That's why the black men who were, remember when the youth like Chief Keef and all of them started pushing True Religion and all of these jeans to where they had to pull them down, because if you wore them shits on your waist, your nuts were hugging. So
what message would you have to the black designers who are scared to charge a lot for their, or scared to make expensive items because they think their people won't support them? Since you are a fashion designer yourself,
go to Africa, get with the Nigerians.
Africans dress fly as fuck, man. Them Nigerians, they got some fly. They be putting on some fly shit, man.
Get with the Nigerians.
Them Nigerians, man, shit.
You feel me? Get with the Nigerians. Go up in Ghana. You know what I'm saying? You go to Zimbabwe or something. You feel me? Like, learn the cut and sew business. Learn the patterns. Learn the materials and whatnot. You could get the finest of leathers from the continent. You know what I mean? Go and study Blackbird, who came out, that was a Moor who came into Europe and taught them niggas how to use spoons and whatnot and wear leather and whatnot. Like, study some of the greats, you feel me? Like, do your research. You feel me? Go and flip the Renaissance on its head. You have to have the knowledge first. If these moist designers is running around not knowing their history and wearing that shit on their chest, then they're useless to the culture. They're just sitting on a lap of white zaddy. You know what I mean? And they don't have they're not an asset to what we trying to do in no kind of ways. No kind of ways. You feel me? They you know what I mean? They too moist to make that choice. They can't help us. And there's no the line is drawn and there's no other way around it. The line is drawn. There's no other way around it. If you see the red and the Gucci, the shit stolen. Facts. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. You know what I'm talking about? I supported one of my local boosters. You know what I'm talking about? No, the line is drawn. I wore that in the 90s. I don't need that anymore. Man make the clothes. Clothes don't make the man. I don't need to wear Gucci to show some kind of fake ass I made it to impress who? So learn your history. Run with your history. Edify your history. Put some cultural iconic motifs on your clothes. You see this shit right here? Gucci couldn't do this. Gucci and all of them were running with Kemet a while ago. You feel me? They were running with Kemet. Shout out to Ra Omar. He's a beast. He has couture. He's couture. Ra Omar is couture. Shout out to Athletics. Shout out to my brother Pharaonic Brand. You feel me? That they knocking on the door to couture. Shout out to Kings County. You know what I'm saying? We got a long way to go, but that's the doors that we'll be knocking on in the very near future. If some of these fashion designers who come out of FIT and all of these who be out here swagger jacking the information and whatnot, y'all should be knocking on our doors and whatnot, opening up your little houses and things of that nature, your cut and sew business or your manufacturing. Shout out to the Moorish Code. What's my brother's name? He's out there in Brooklyn and whatnot. He has a factory. He's been doing this thing for years.
Shout out what's Haberdashery in Harlem?
Yeah, shout out to the brothers in Harlem, Habitat. Like yeah, shout out to exclusive, what's the dude, Sugar Shay and whatnot. Shout out to the brother from Dipset, Luca Brasi, where he got the leathers and whatnot. He's killing the game. He's doing his thing. There's a lot of people out there doing their thing. Shout out to, are the Fashion Nova designers melanated? I don't think so. Nah, you don't get no shout out. But anyway, shout out to all of the independent designers on Instagram that are out there doing their thing, cutting, sewing, you know, doing what they do. It's our time.
Life is beautiful like Sea Asia. My entrance was independent, but we major. The challenge that's killing me is to balance humility with my ability to stunt like Lee Major. When I was pissing poor, I had a vision board as my screensaver. I envisioned tours on G4s, mink blazers, hopping out with pink gators, unhinging doors like C4, ringing alarms like tennis saw.
P-More.
Had the club going up like seesaws. Abroad, we score so much, no need to keep score. Petite broads who eat raw, greet us at customs, teach us the customs and traditions of foreign soil. Royal dignitaries sending emissaries to meet Moors. I know